When it comes to reception, response, and coordination in animals, we have said that animals have a complex. They have these complex irritability, whereby their bodies respond so faster, leads to its responding so faster to changes in environment more than plants. And the reason you find that irritability in arthropods, for example, it happens at the nervous system. And for other animals, higher animals like vertebrates, irritability is brought about by more elaborate nerves. But the main nerves that you need to know is that the nervous system, what you need to know is that the nervous system is the one that provides the quickest means of communication in animals. That's why they have so fast reaction to stimuli compared to plants. So animals just know that they have nervous system. That's why they respond so faster to changes in environment compared to plants. And to begin with, you must know that if you're writing now in your you can have your pen, then you write this, that nervous system now contain two parts. This is the beginning. You have to understand this. And you have to understand, because most students are confused with this subtopic more than plants. So to begin this, you write nervous system. It contains two parts, that is central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system it is made up of the brain. It is made up of brain and the spinal cord. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord, whereas the peripheral nervous system, is made up of the granule nerves and the spinal nerves. It contains the granule nerves and it has sensory nerves. So what do we mean by saying that nervous system is made up of two systems? What are the importance now of these two systems? One, the central nervous system, we've said it is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. When there is any reaction or any feeling about any stimuli, where does it begin? We said that there are things known as receptors, the receptor organs. We said that the receptor organs are parts that receive the stimuli, parts that senses the stimuli. Let's have an example to use. The skin is an example of an organ, a sensory organ. The skin in this case, if it is very hot, you realize that the skin will sense and will receive that stimulus of a lot of heat in the environment. So the skin will be the receptor. And this receptor, it will take the information, it will receive that information, and it will transmit that information of a lot of hotness in the environment in form of impulse. I told you that stimuli is being communicated, or it is being transported in form of impulses. So stimuli, which is heat in this case, will be taken, it will be sensed by the skin, which is the receptor, and it is taken now in form of impulses through nerves, known as sensory nerves, and they are now transmitted from now this receptor into the sensory organ. The sensory organ will take them to the central nervous system. Central nervous system. And in the central nervous system, what happens in the central nervous system? The central nervous system will receive and integrate impulse. It now brings about coordination. It will receive, integrate the impulse from the receptors, and then they relay now back the information on how to control that stimuli. So they relay the information to the effector organs. The effector organs are now the center of coordination. They take them to the effector organs. The effector organs are the ones that are about to bring about response now to these stimuli. So the effector organs will receive that information that has been brought from the central nervous system, whereby it is the brain and the spinal cord. It contains of the brain and the spinal cord. They take that information that has been integrated and they take it to the effector organs. The effector organs are the organs that were also receiving the stimuli, back to the skin now. So your skin receives stimuli, maybe in form, maybe it is very cold, for example. The skin becomes the receptor. It takes the stimuli in form of impulses, that is coldness. It receives that information and take it in form of impulse, telling your body that it is very cold. And this information is taken in form of impulse. So it is taken through the sensory nerves, through the sensory organs, to the brain. And the brain now, and the spinal cord are the central nervous system. So the central nervous system will coordinate that information and relay back the information back to the skin. And in this case, back to the skin, the one that is taking information from the brain to the skin would be the motor nerves. So the motor nerves will transmit impulse from the central nervous system to the effector organs. Effector organs are the one to bring about now the response, that is the skin. And you will find that at that time when you are feeling a lot of cold, you realize that even the hairs in your skin will start to stand firm, trying to regulate the temperature in your body. You find yourself shivering, trying to regulate the temperature in your body. Those actions that will come in response to a lot of coldness. So even during hot times, when it is very hot, after the impulse has been transmitted from the skin, that is the receptor, to the brain will coordinate the information and relay back the information through the motor nerve to the skin, telling the skin to sweat. Sometimes you can ask yourself, what makes the skin to sweat? It is because of the information that was taken by the sensory receptors, that is the skin, in this case is the receptor, and it took through the sensory organs to the brain. The brain is the one that is the central nervous system that now integrate this information. It receives the information, digests it, and brings back the response. And this response is brought about by the motor nerves that transmit impulse from the central nervous system to the effector organs. Effector organs can be any. I'm just using the skin as an example of that. But there are so many responses and reactions. Even we have so many stimuli in your body that you can perceive. It's not only about temperature. What we mentioned, so many types of stimuli in your body. It's stimuli that you can detect in the environment, pH, and so on, and a lot of even salts. We have internal stimuli and the external stimuli. So it's good for you to understand the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So peripheral nervous system is made up of the sensory and the motor nerves. It is made up of these nerves that transmit impulses, that takes impulse to the brain and brings back. And then the central nervous system now is made up of the brain, parts that coordinate information. So ensure you know the components of the central nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, and their function. They receive and integrate information in form of impulses. Whereas the peripheral nervous system made up of sensory nerve that transmit impulse from receptors in sensory organs to the central nervous system, and motor nerve that transmit impulse from central nervous system to the effector organs. So mostly the relationship between central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, you can have it in a structured form so that you can understand. You can write receptor organs, maybe. You can write in summary, receptor organs, sensory organs, and then you put an arrow, then you write central nervous system, then you write effector organs. Why do I say so? Receptor organs, you begin with receptor organs, then central nervous system, then effector organs. What is happening there is that you receive, that's why I've begun with receptor organs. You receive stimuli. The stimuli is taken in form of impulses to the central nervous system. That is central nervous system. In the central nervous system, they are integrated, and the information is integrated and coordinated, and the response is brought back to the organs that received information. That's why next will be effector organs. The information that has been digested in your brain and is now relayed back to the effector organs to bring about response to that stimulus. We'll come and learn more. We'll continue learning more about the structure and functions of nerve cells. Structure and functions of nerve cells. We have you have to know how the neuron look like, and you need to know the basic functional unit of the nervous system. We say that nerve cells, or neuron, is the basic functional unit of the nervous system. It is a cell that is modified to transmit impulse. The nerve, most of you just know of my nerves are paining, my nerves are doing this and that. The nerves now, or neurons, in other words, we call them neurons, is the basic functional unit of the nervous system. Without nerves, that is when you can't feel anything. That's why some people are saying, I don't feel, even when you pinch them, they don't feel any pain. The reason is because their nerves are no more functional, or they are neurons. So neurons, or nerve cells, it is the basic functional unit of the nervous system. It is a cell that is modified to transmit impulse. The function of the nerve cell is to transmit impulse. And I've told you that impulse will always carry an information. So, as we continue, we have a nerve impulse. We'll begin with from nerve impulse next.